Lose your life for my sake, and you'll find it. Deny yourself, pick up the cross, follow me. Things are kind of a mess right now. Catastrophic storms, huge wildfires, a messy and painful withdrawal from Afghanistan, the loss of U.S. servicemen and women, a pandemic rearing its head again at home, and that, frankly, isn't all of it. Things are kinda a mess. And our general reaction to all of this as a society, as people, isn't surprising. It's to grab onto what we have even more tightly. Our way of life, opinions, rights, freedoms, we squeeze them. I think it's a natural reaction when there's this feeling in the air that things could somehow be taken away. We are feeling on a societal scale the impermanence of life, the enormity of a planet that seems to be getting angry, the fact that we are not in control. And we react by clutching what we think we still do control. Think about your arm for a second. If you hold your arm up, palm up, you got your bicep here, and then you've got the muscles of the forearm, which are a little harder to put labels to, and then finally the muscles in your palm and your fingers that close your hand into a grip. Now, if you turn your arm over, yeah, you got muscles there too, but they're smaller. Triceps are rarely as large as biceps, and the back of your forearms and your fingers, well, they're smaller as well. And they're smaller because, frankly, what they do doesn't require that much strength. Biceps and forearms, the muscles that close your fingers into a grip, those are muscles for grasping and holding tight, for picking up a pail of water, pulling in a harvest, moving furniture, even squeezing the neck of an assailant. The muscles on the other side of the arm, they just have to get the arm and the hand into the right position to do those things, and then they can go along for the ride. The point? Even our bodies are designed to clutch what we want and hold it tight. Even our bodies are designed to manipulate and control what is around us, whether it's pulling potatoes out of the ground or snatching up a wayward child. And yet, here are these words of Jesus. Deny yourself, take up your cross, lose your life, and that's how you will find it. What he is saying is simply not in our nature or even in the design of our bodies. And yet, even if we react against these notions with every fiber of our being, even if we say in our hearts, okay, Jesus, but I'm hanging on to this or that, the words are true. And they're not really just words of Jesus. These words are echoed in the words of many great religious teachers, from Buddha to Gandhi to Martin Luther King Jr., to Hildegard, to Sister Teresa. Live for others. Follow this path. Drop selfishness, self-centeredness, and yes, love yourself, but lose yourself in this life, and you will find the way. I think there are a lot of reasons why we Christians get so focused on the afterlife. We want to continue life with our loved ones. We want to know joy complete. We want to know there is something waiting for us on that day when we last close our eyes. We want to know that our lost loves will not be lost. And I hold to that, cling to that. I believe in that. But part of the reason we get so focused on the next life is it makes Jesus a little easier to control in this life. And yeah, I just said that. It makes Jesus easier for us to control. Except, of course, it doesn't really affect Jesus at all, does it? Just our perception of Jesus. We have, as Christians, put too much emphasis on the next life because that makes salvation a one and done thing. You believe in the Savior, you're in. You're in, and that's it. And that's everything. We don't have to talk about much else. There's little talk then about finding freedom in life, love in life, peace in life, finding life, aside from the idea that we should pray harder and that one day our problems will be solved as these things will all magically appear. And by the way, I'm not dissing prayer. I'm just saying there's something more. And we find the something more by picking up the cross, releasing the control. The control that's largely an illusion anyway. If we really are going to live for Jesus, we must live for others. Yes, still loving ourselves, but doing justice, granting mercy, walking humbly in the way of our Savior. We have at Trinity tried to emphasize losing our lives in this life so we might find our lives. Our programs, education efforts, giving, they're all geared toward releasing that control and giving it up to God. Because that's what brings heaven to earth. That's what makes living for Jesus more than an after we die kind of thing. And that's what makes life worth living. Could we be better at it? Oh yeah. And I'd be telling the biggest whopper of all time if I said I have cruised through this last almost 2 years light as a feather, releasing my worry and not fretting over what I need to do to save and preserve the community we've built here together. Letting go isn't easy for all of us, but I'm trying. And part of my spirituality is to try and look at every person I meet and see Christ. And to try imperfectly then, to live for them. To take up the cross of justice, mercy, love, and humility every day and keep that at the center. And I wish I was better at just that. And you probably wish the same for yourself. But again, we need to give ourselves a bit of a break. It's not how we are designed, even though it's the truth. And one of the ways I have sought to live for others in the past year was simply this. I got the shot. Now, I know, I'm about to go somewhere here many would like me not to go. But let me say a couple things. I don't care what side of the issue you're on. You are my brother. You are my sister. I love you regardless. And I hope you would say the same about me. I'm not even expecting anyone to necessarily change their minds with what I'm offering, because what I'm trying to offer is just a bit of my own story. It doesn't have to be yours. I've become convinced that vaccination is the only way we're going to get out of this pandemic. How did we get out of smallpox? Vaccination, polio, the same. Those diseases would still be killing and crippling respectively, if not for vaccinations. Some would even argue that the whole idea of a herd immunity has a lot of problems. Sure, maybe we got it with the bubonic plague, but that killed 25 million people in Europe alone in the space of 4 years. I've become convinced that these new vaccines are safe for adults and teens, even as, of course, there are going to be problems with any medication. And I've come to that conclusion for myself by talking to the health professionals and scientists I know and trust, like my sister-in-law, like my son. But you know what? When I got that shot, I wasn't as sure. It was still a really, really new thing, and I know it still is. But I got it largely for others. Yeah, of course, I wanted protection. But I didn't want to make anyone else sick. And I recognize in the call of Jesus, and frankly in the call to be an American, that there's a sense that we have to balance what we want, what we need, with the need to take care of each other, of our neighbors. And this just seemed to be the best way. And I can say honestly, if they had sat me down on that day, the day I got that shot, and they had said to me, this shot's going to take 2 years off of your life, but nothing better's coming along, I probably still would have taken it. Because for me, it has nothing to do with politics at all, and everything to do with living a life for others. Again, it doesn't have to be your answer. And I respect your answer and your freedom to disagree. And I know there are other ways that you lose your life for others. And there are all kinds of ways. We need to stop adapting this attitude in a hurting world. We need to lose ourselves in the ways of Jesus, a way that cares for the human community, to not only bring heaven to earth, but to bring peace and some normalcy to a planet that is in travail, and to the creatures we share it with. We need to give more, serve more, love more. Time for others needs to be part of our schedule. Giving a part of our budget, and not just an afterthought. Even how we eat, live, and heat our homes and cool our homes, all of these can be aimed at helping this planet, helping others. They can all be part of living for Jesus. Seeking to bring laughter, beauty to the world. Taking the time to visit, to listen, to share, to have real discussions, not shouting matches. Taking the time to do something for someone without expecting anything in return. These are the tools that teach us how to lose our lives. They are the tools that will help us to find our lives and bring us into the kingdom of heaven and bring us back to a better world. It's easy to say, let go, let God. But losing our life for the sake of Christ, even as it takes a lot of practice, even as it is challenging, is the way to find life. Once at camp, a long time ago, for staff training, we had a greased watermelon contest. 2 teams trying to push a Crisco-coated watermelon through the lake, the swimming area, to the dock of the opposing team. Kind of like a football game without helmets and rules. The amazing thing about a wet, greased melon, you might think you have it. You've got the strong muscles of your biceps, forearms, and hands gripped tight around it. But one little poke from behind, one slip or loss of balance, it's gone with a squirt. I think trying to figure out life our own way gets exactly like that. That big greasy melon that is the meaning of life seems to be in our grasp every once in a while. But life's really good at poking at us, tripping us, throwing us off balance. And that melon is just gone. But if we're lucky, we hit a point when we realize we need to stop trying to figure it all out. We need to lose our life. Let go. Live for Jesus. We need to live the gospel. Live for others. And when we do that, we realize one day, even when things are kind of a mess, that we've got a pretty nice slice of melon sitting on our plate. Courage, peace. Let us all strive to live the way of our Savior.